Hello, my friend. Welcome to Daily Faith. My name is Philip Cameron, and I am delighted to have you with us. And wherever you're watching, and we're just amazed how many folk watch all over the world. We get a lot of different places. Pakistan just recently, and we just are so glad to be a part of your life. Daily Faith is here to be a part of your walk by faith. That's the Bible says we walk by faith. And we bring to you some of the most amazing stories. And today you are going to hear a story of loss and redemption and restoration. And whatever you're going through just now in your life, whatever circumstance you're in, let me tell you something. You are not too far away from the love and the reach and the grace of God. Whatever your circumstance is, no matter how bad it is, no matter how many times you've given up inside, listen, today is not the day to give up because God is working on something. I love that old song, He works in ways I cannot see. He will make a way for me, and He is making a way for you that you can't even see. In fact, in my life, I've learned through experience, the quieter God is, the more He's working. And it's just learning to trust Him in these days. And you're going to meet a couple today. I can't wait to share my new friends with you and the story that they've gone through. And I know that you will be blessed by it. Now, let me say this. If you love your pastor, get in contact with him today. Call him and just say, listen, I want you to watch this program today because I believe that one of the things, I've got great empathy for pastors. I'm a missionary and I'm an evangelist, but I'm not a pastor. But I've got lots of pastor friends, and I know sometimes they can be the loneliest people and the folks that go through the biggest struggles. And on Sunday, they've got to be there with a smiling face and not let you know where their heart is. And one moment of inspiration can change a pastor's life. You can give him thoughts and ideas into his spirit that's worth more to him than $1 million because they look and live on inspiration. And I believe today's program, we have David and Beverly Camp from West Cobb Church in Marietta, Georgia. And they're going to be telling you some stuff today that I promise you won't believe. And I think it'll be a great blessing to your pastor. If you're watching us on any social media, hit share and like. And you can hit that little bell that reminds you when we come on the air. You can get us on YouTube. Really simple, YouTube/Daily Faith. DailyFaith.tv is our central base that you can get in contact in all the old programs that we've done, and you can go back and pretty much anything that you're going through right now has been dealt with in the programs in our library. You can just go there and you can scroll through them and meet some of the greatest people in America. I'm so honored and blessed to be here. And we love you to get in contact with us. You can get a hold of us at any time through DailyFaith.tv. If you'd like to help us and give a gift, you can do that also. And there's a live person wanting to talk to you if you're interested. 833-DAILY-FAITH, and someone is there right now to call for you to call and talk to them. And so just let's have a great day today. I believe that God has put this program in place because He is a divine connector, and I believe that God's going to bless you. I'm thrilled you're here. Welcome to Daily Faith. Hello, welcome to Daily Faith. My name is Philip Cameron. I just had a thought just as we started. We've got a new grandbaby in our family. Her name is Annabelle. My son Andrew and his wife Yemi have just had this gorgeous wee thing. She's a rascal. And today my wife took her in because she had to do something and she's look after Annabelle. So I took her in my arms, and I don't know why, but I don't think she likes me very much. She's there. No, dear, I knew a photograph was coming. So she looked at me, and as soon as she recognized it was me, she started to yell. Just didn't. She wasn't crying. She was just yelling. And I'm trying to keep her calm, and I think, so I got my phone and I hit the front page, and it's one of my grandsons, and I says, look, Annabelle, that's Rowie. And she stopped cold crying and looked at the picture like this. She's 3 months old. She looked at the picture, she started again. So I began to look through pictures, and every time I held the photograph up to her, she stopped crying, long enough to see who it was, and then she went back to howling again. And I thought, my Lord, how quickly do our babies learn how to manipulate us and keep us in check? And so that thought came, I don't know why I share that with you, but that thought came to mind today. We have a great program today. We've got a couple that I believe is going to blow your mind, that what God has done in their lives, and I can't wait for you to meet them. And so we're thrilled to have you with us. We do a mission work in Ukraine and Moldova. I've been there for 35 years. I adopted a boy from Romania, which is the next country over from Moldova, little knowing that he was going to be the catalyst to change my life. I was traveling in America. All the dreams I had was fulfilled. I was mid-30s, and a gorgeous house with a Mercedes-Benz and a swimming pool in the backyard. All my dreams had come true until I met this wee baby in Romania. And God used him to pull me into a world I had never thought I'd ever be part of, and that's missions. And we've been reaching and rescuing kids for 35 years. We have a place in Moldova called Vatra Village. It's where we take these kids and we hold them, and we don't hold them, we let them stay there, and we let them go to university and college and vocational schools, if that's where their educational level is. And the crazy thing is that these kids are finding Jesus in our homes, and they become sons and daughters, and then they become missionaries. And during the war in Ukraine, our kids are continually still reaching out to people that have lost everything because of Putin's madness. And when it actually began, the war began 2 years ago, our kids went up to the border, no man's land, and were there feeding and loving and praying and caring for women and their kids that had run away because their husbands had been left to fight. Hundreds of thousands of people have died there. And we are just so honored that God would allow us to be in such a place of need. Anyway, in Moldova, in March, in Eastern Europe, there's a big day called Women's Day. And I'm sorry, I just made another mistake. That's the second one I've made today. But we're going to show you a video of what's happening in Moldova. Watch this.
Catalina, Iuliana, Ana,
Tudor.
Наталі, Снежана,
Катерина.
Снежана,
Ana.
Moldova, the poorest country in Europe, a place torn between the East and the West, stuck between yesterday and tomorrow. This tiny impoverished country has the highest level of alcohol consumption in the world and the highest death rate linked to drinking. Poverty and alcohol is a deadly mix. It breaks the home. It causes unimaginable suffering. It creates orphans. In this corruption-dominated society, orphanages become recruitment factories where girls and boys in the most vulnerable positions are handed over to traffickers as they age out of the system. Lack of opportunity, social support, and severe poverty make these kids desperate to leave their country, hopeful that they will find a more prosperous life elsewhere. But this combination of desperation and hope leaves many of them susceptible to the false promises of recruiters. Moldova is primarily a source country for men, women, and children forced into sex trafficking and forced labor.
father wanted to kill me.
I grew up in an orphanage because my mother was sent to prison for killing my father.
I had the knife from my father and pulled my beaten mother out of the house so he wouldn't kill her.
I asked God why all of this is happening to my family, and I thought that He forgot about us.
I was supposed to be aborted.
Me and my sister used to pick our clothes from the trash.
Yet, in the midst of this sorrow, a miracle is taking place. Orphans are finding hope through the work of the orphans' hands. And because of your generosity, today, Vatra Village is a place of warmth and comfort, something most of these kids have never known. In these rooms, care and love, hope and healing transforms pain into purpose and loss into life. They are finding their broken hearts healed by God's love, and hope is then turning into action. These amazing kids, once rescued and restored, have an unstoppable desire to return to those whose fears they understand, to reach the ones who are what they once were.
You gave me hope. Thank you.
You gave me hope. The most amazing thing is to watch someone with despair and no future. One of the first group of young girls that my wife and myself helped, we were sitting one night talking to them, and I said, "What's your dreams?" And they says, "We have no dreams." And I says, "Well, what would you like to do?" And they says, "To work in a bucătărie kitchen." I says, in a kitchen. I says, why would you like to work in a kitchen? And they said, "Because it's warm and there is food." And that was as far as they could see. And today, some are doctors. In fact, watching that video, some of the girls that you're watching that video, the girl that said, "My mother killed my father," she is now an airline hostess. She now flies in an airline. And the successes that we're seeing is just absolutely amazing. When I first began, a government official came to me and says, "If one of these children graduate, if one of them graduate, you will be an unbelievable success." And boy, have we proved them wrong. Everyone graduates, and they all are serving God in different ways, and new young kids are coming in all the time. And we need folks like you to be a part of this with us. How all of this is taken care of. All those homes are run, both the houses in Romania, in Moldova, and the one in Ukraine, is by someone like you giving $1 a day. $1 a day won't change your life, but I promise you, every face you've seen in that video, their lives are changed. Every girl you just watched on that video, if caught by a trafficker, is worth $300,000 a year. $300,000 a year. And yet people like you, lovely Christian folk, from every kind of walk of life, sacrifice and give and make this miracle continue to happen. $1 a day will change their lives. You can contact us today by writing The Orphan's Hands, P.O. Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee, 37716. The quickest way is by going to dailyfaith.tv. There's a giving page there. You can just click on there and fill out the information. You can also call that 800 number, Daily Faith, 833 Daily Faith, and someone will be there to take your gift. Help us. We've got some tremendous challenges coming up. New houses we're going to build in the next few months for younger kids. It's going to take a miracle to take place. But boy, we are excited to see how God is working. And so please do that again. P.O. Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee. I'd love to hear from you. I'm so thrilled to have David and Beverly Camp with us today from West Cobb Church in Marietta. And they have a unique story. And to save time in a long introduction, I just want to go straight to them and let them tell you what God did in their darkest hours. David, I'm so glad to have you with us today. And welcome that beautiful wife with you. Tell us about your church, first of all, so folk in that area might want to come and join with you. How are you doing today?
Certainly, Philip, thank you for having Beverly and I,
Yes,
and we're grateful for the opportunity to share God's work through our story.
Sure.
And we serve today at West Cobb Church, as you noted, in Marietta, Georgia. We have about 650 partners in our ministry today. And God is blessing. He's using our story to help restore lives. And we're committed to making sure that people know and understand the power of God in the midst of your lowest moments and your greatest tragedy, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I don't like knowing too much of a story because it kind of takes away the spontaneity of it. I like this program to be fresh and real and live. But I just got a whisp from Andrew. He says, Dad, this is going to blow your mind today. And tell us, you have gone through, both of you have gone through unbearable grief. Most folk would quit and just give up and fold up their tent and leave. But you guys, through double tragedy, have come to an amazing situation. Tell us what happened in you guys' lives.
So our journey related to the tragedy that we experienced is myself and Beverly both lost our spouses suddenly.
Oh my.
Beverly lost her husband, who was 50 years of age due to COVID complications. And then I lost my wife, who was a type 1 diabetic, in 2022 to a drowning accident at our home. And so in our journey, Beverly and I both, the suddenness of the moment, where are you, God? The heaviness of the tragedy, where are you, God? And so for Beverly, she and I think about and talk about our story as often as we can. But, as we move through the valleys and you're trying to press toward the work that God is doing, you sometimes stop and you pause and you say, God, why me? Why now?
Absolutely.
And why this? And I think for Beverly, her lowest moment came probably a year after she had lost her husband, Matt. And Beverly, share a little bit of that low moment for you and what happened in your life.
Yeah, so my husband, Matt, was very healthy. We lived, I would say, a very charmed life. We were high school sweethearts. We had been married almost 24 years, and he got COVID in August of 2021. And again, he had just turned 50 just a few weeks before. Yeah. And then we found ourselves, I had a senior at the time, a senior in high school and a child in college. So we were preparing for empty nest, and he got COVID. I didn't think anything of it. But then he went to the hospital, and after a week he passed suddenly with a blood clot on his lung. And I just found myself really questioning God I've always done the right thing. We've lived according to God's plan. We've been very involved in church work and service. And I just found myself, really at a low when he died, but then I had to keep going.
Surely.
So I would say a year, probably a little over a year afterwards, after the shock had worn off, the reality set in that I was now an empty nester, my daughter in college, and my youngest in college. And it was just at that moment that I thought, wow, I've done all the right things, God. And that was the lowest point of my journey. And that's at the point where David and I met, and he was at the same point, right around the same time, totally a God thing. But I had worked through that first year and a half and then thought, okay, now what? Now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I've been married for 47 years to Chrissy. And the gap, the hole, the vacuum that
Yes.
that must have created in your heart, Beverly. I mean, a high school sweetheart, you're living a charmed life, as you said, and suddenly, right in the middle of, you know, well, we're going to start reaping the benefit of a hard life. You know, the kids are going up, and we're going to, and suddenly this sword comes in and slashes your dream.
Yes.
I can't. I know there are folk watching just now, and they're going through tough times, and suddenly their tough times ain't so tough, because that's like dying yourself. I mean, that's like a death in your own heart. And tell us what happened with your wife.
So my wife was a type 1 diabetic. She was actually diagnosed with diabetes, Philip, about 6 months before we got married. She was 19 years of age when we got married, and I was 23. And we lived we had 32 years of marriage, and it was a long battle with diabetes. She was considered to be a brittle diabetic, dealt with lows on a constant basis, but very private. Not many people knew the real struggle and the heaviness of the battle. And then on September 17th of 2022, we were at our pool in our backyard. We had our grandson with us that day. It was coming to the end of the day. And I went back into the home, and I was going to get our grandson ready to meet my daughter for dinner.
Yeah.
And Angela shared with me, hey, I want to lay out in the sun another 20 minutes. And so she got on the float. I came back outside about 20 to 30 minutes later to let her know that we were ready to go. And I found her, she had drowned. She had a low blood sugar and fell off of her float and drowned. And sudden moment, a tragedy, unexpected. And then, my low really came for me, Philip, some 6 months later after Angela's passing. And it was initiated by Valentine's Day, where I realized the truth and the reality that she was gone, the love of my life. Angela and I, her first date, she was 14 years of age when she went on her first date with me. So while we had been married 32 years, we had been together 37 years. And she was gone. And that reality set in. I went to bed for 4 days. My daughters, Taylor and Caitlin, came to my home. They say, Dad, we need to begin to pray. And, they said, Dad, God hasn't created you to be alone. And we specifically journaled and started praying for the woman that God would bring into my life. We prayed over a widow, a woman who would know my circumstance. We'd be able to identify someone who wanted or desired to be a part of ministry, someone who was in a similar season. And little did I know that 5 miles away from me was Beverly. We met at a grief event that I was speaking at on March 22nd, a year ago. And November of 2023, we married. And today we have the joy of Mega Fam. We have 4 children, 2 son-in-laws, 3 grandbabies, and God is using us. And what we would share today is tragedy, unexpected and unplanned. And there are moments where you say, God, where are you? God, is this a sovereign moment?
Yeah.
But what we learn in that experience is that God, he shows himself to be faithful. He shows himself to be true.
Surely.
And so we've leaned into that reality that in our darkest moment, in those moments that were unplanned, both of us are planners.
Yeah.
And in that unplanned, unexpected moment that was far beyond anything that we could have imagined or ever imagined, God proved himself faithful in many ways. And that big component was us being able to meet together, to now work together in ministry, to pour into the lives of widow and widowers. We're committed to that on a daily basis, to pouring into the lives of widow and widowers who experience sudden, tragic loss that's unexpected.
I'm speechless, honest to goodness. I can't even, as you're talking to me, I'm trying to imagine how it would be and I can't even frame thought in my mind as to suddenly one moment everything's hunky-dory and things are great, and then suddenly you are completely, a brick wall is not, it's a brick wall and hit by a train and a plane wreck and a car wreck and a ship sinking all at one time. And yet tragedy defines you. And I'm aware we got 4.5 minutes left.
Yeah.
I know there's someone watching us today that have gone through similar situations. It may not be a mate that they've lost, but it may be a business deal or a family situation, kids lost, whatever it is. How do you find hope in Beverly? How do you pick up all the pieces again and say, okay, I bring this broken bits to you, God, help me?
Yeah, I think for me, it was that I had this thought of, wow, I've done all the right things, and look how good my life was, and why would this happen? But I had to come to that realization that it doesn't matter how good I am. It matters how good God is.
So true.
And I was, I found camaraderie with other widows. They've been my saving grace, honestly. I would say find community in people who are going through the similar situation. But I just clung on to the fact that God is a father to the fatherless for my children. He's a protector of widows. And he was all I had, when I was home alone without my children here. And, I learned that it takes time, but there is goodness in the land of the living. Like, just because the love of my life died, I have to keep going, and I have to have a bigger purpose because of this, I would say.
I'm interested, as you're talking to me, and I know this isn't a scripted question, but how, now that you have found each other, is this love that you have now? And I've heard you both say it was you were boyfriend and girlfriend when you're young kids. How is your relationship now between a different mate that God has brought in your life? Is the love the same? Is it deeper? Is it a different kind of love? That fascinates me.
That's a great question, Philip. And you appreciate not only the work of God in your life, but you appreciate the value of having a soulmate.
I bet you do.
Not that, the beauty of what Beverly and I have been able to share is that we're not just companions. It's not just filling the gap of loneliness, but we're soulmates. And we discovered that about each other. We discovered that the work of God was priority in our lives. And we appreciate the small moments, the devotion each morning, a cup of coffee that we share, the opportunity to exercise, the opportunity to take our tragedy and pour into the lives of other people together. And you appreciate those moments in a far different way. It's the small things where God reveals his goodness. And he reveals that in the fact that he brought us together as quickly as he did.
It's amazing.
And we firmly believe
that part amazes me, that God has brought and filled this void. And we have a minute left. I wish the show was an hour long. If you're watching this today and you are in the depth of despair and you haven't even found bottom yet, you're still sinking, we are here to tell you that God knows you. He knows your circumstance, and he's working, as I said at the beginning of the program, and I said that before I'd introduce you to David and Beverly. He works in ways you cannot see.
Yes, he does.
And I just thank you guys for coming on Daily Faith today and sharing this. We've got to have you back if you would. And let me give you their email address, because I want you to get in contact with them. www.westcobbchurch.com. westcobbchurch.com. If you are going through a disaster in your life right now, you need someone to tell you there's hope in your circumstance. And I pray over you in the name of Jesus that you're going to find the rest and the peace that passes understanding, to let you know that a new tomorrow is coming. In Jesus' name. David and Beverly, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you so much, and thank you for sharing your story with us today. And
Thank you.
bless you for
We're
that.
we're very honored and appreciative, and God bless you, and thank you for the work you're doing here, brother.
Thank you. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
For over 25 years, the Cameron family has been changing the lives of orphans in Romania and Moldova. From providing running water, flushing toilets, and clean wells, to coal for heat, new windows, as well as food and clothing, they champion the physical needs of the orphans in these broken and desolate countries. Many of Moldova's orphans are saved from the horrors of trafficking through homes founded by the Camerons, and in the process, orphans become daughters and sons. They come to know their Heavenly Father and are forever changed by the love of Jesus. God help the Camerons lift these amazing young men and women out of darkness. Now, no longer orphans, they want to return and invade that very same darkness with the light of Jesus Christ. The Orphans' Hands equips these daughters and sons to become missionaries. Your monthly gift of $31 will allow us to rescue and take in more girls and boys, saving them from the hell of human trafficking. Your monthly partnership will allow us to care for those in the Orphans' Hands homes in Moldova and the Ukraine. If you want to join Philip and Chrissy in taking care of these precious young people, please contact us today by calling 833-DAILY-FAITH. You can also give by going online to www.dailyfaith.tv or by writing to Post Office Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee 37716. So many lives depend on what we do. Thank you for loving the lost.